Welcome to this information session for international students. This session is prepared for you by our team of immigration specialists in International Student Services. In this session, we will be sharing with you some important information regarding your studies at Fleming College and your studies in Canada. This information is important and will remain important throughout your journey as an international student until you graduate and after your graduation. These are your international student advisors at Fleming College. Please book an appointment with us if you have immigration-related questions. Avoid getting immigration advice from a friend, as their situation may be different from yours. You also have the option to contact IRCC directly or get advice from a regulated Canadian immigration consultant, RCSE, or a lawyer who specializes in immigration. In order to study in Canada, you must have a valid study permit prior to beginning your studies. Study permit is the correct term for this document. It is not a student visa or study visa. The study permit is a status document and must be valid for the entire duration of your studies including placement, if applicable, and it must include 3 months beyond the duration of your studies to allow enough time to apply for PGWP after your graduation. If you are unable to complete your studies within the validity of your study permit, you must apply for an extension of your study permit before it expires. This applies even if your study permit expires just 1 or 2 days before your expected completion of studies. Please take a minute to set a reminder notification 3 to 4 months before your current study permit expires. It is your responsibility to ensure your study permit remains valid throughout your studies. If you let your study permit expire, you will need to apply for a restoration of status, and this is a more complex and expensive process. In this case, you will need to stop studying and will only be able to resume studying once your status as a student is restored. Also, please make sure not to lose your immigration documents. Keep them in a safe place. Please take a picture or copy of your documents. In the unfortunate case that they get lost, you will need to request replacement documents. The Temporary Resident Visa, or TRV, is a travel document that gives you authorization to travel and enter Canada if you are from a country that requires a visa. Often the TRV is issued for the same duration as the study permit. If you extend your study permit, the TRV is not automatically extended. Therefore, you will need to extend the TRV once your study permit extension application has been processed and you receive your new document. This has to be done as a separate application. As an international student, it is important that you know what it means to maintain full-time status, to take breaks from school and to work as a student. It is your responsibility to be compliant with your study permit conditions. Please remember, not knowing is not an excuse. If you are unsure about something, please reach out to our international student advisors. Let's first talk about being a full-time student. So what does it mean to be a full-time student and why is it so important? To be full-time at Fleming College, you must be registered in 66.67% or more of the course load of your term, or 70% or more of the number of course hours of the semester. To be eligible for PGWP, you must maintain full-time status in every semester, except for the very last one. If your study permit lists the condition to work, you must be a full-time student to work on or off campus. During regularly scheduled breaks, you can only work if you are enrolled full-time before and after the break. Be careful when dropping courses midway through the semester, as this may make you a part-time student. Always confirm your status with the registrar's office before dropping courses. A regularly scheduled break is defined as a break scheduled into your program for all students. Not all programs have such breaks. Please confirm with your program coordinator if your program includes a scheduled break or if your semesters are delivered back-to-back. Taking an unscheduled break will have negative impacts on your PGWP eligibility. You will not be allowed to work during an unscheduled break. Please be mindful with an unscheduled break, as some courses/semesters may only be offered at certain times of the year. Gaps in studies will make you ineligible for a PGWP. What makes you eligible to work in Canada as a study permit holder? 1. Your study permit must say you are authorized to work on or off campus. 2. You must be enrolled at a designated learning institution, DLI, in a post-secondary or postgraduate program. You cannot work before you begin your studies in Canada. 3. You need a social insurance number. 4. You must be a full-time student, except in your final semester. If you meet these conditions, you can work 20 hours per week during a semester and full-time during regularly scheduled breaks. Regularly scheduled breaks include the times between semesters, as long as you maintain full-time status before and after a regular break. Please remember, if you are a part-time student, you cannot work. This also applies if you take an unscheduled break. Please check the conditions or remarks in your study permit. If there are restrictions in terms of where you can work, for example, in childcare, healthcare, or primary/secondary school teaching, you may not work in these fields. If you are unsure about your eligibility to work, if you don't have the work conditions listed in your study permit, or if your study permit lists restrictions, please book an appointment with an international student advisor for further guidance. You may have heard about a temporary policy IRCC first announced in October 2022 and then extended at the end of 2023. This policy allowed eligible study permit holders to work more than 20 hours temporarily. The policy expires on April 30th, 2024. Therefore, as of May 2024, the allowable work hours are 20 per week, if you meet the requirements for off-campus work. If you have a mandatory field or clinical placement, internship, or co-op as part of your program, you will require a co-op work permit. This permit will allow you to work the hours required to complete your program, as approved by your school. Students sometimes mistake this permit as the document that allows them to work off campus. It is important to understand that the co-op work permit only allows you to work the hours that form an essential part of your program and that you need in order to graduate. The co-op work permit cannot be used for on or off-campus work. You can check your letter of acceptance or check with your program coordinator to confirm if your program has a mandatory placement component. If you have a co-op work permit issued for an institution other than Fleming College, you will need to apply for a new co-op work permit. Please take a few minutes to read your co-op work permit. Please check the conditions or remarks in your study permit. If there are restrictions listed in terms of where you can work, for example, it may say you cannot work in childcare, healthcare, or primary/secondary school teaching, you may not work in these fields. In order to be allowed to work in these fields, you will need to request a new co-op work permit without these restrictions. If this applies to you, please reach out to an international student advisor immediately for guidance, as the process of requesting a new co-op work permit takes time. If you were not issued a co-op work permit on arrival, please go to our International Student Services website at the link provided for instructions on how to apply. The page also includes a video tutorial. Processing times for work permits can be long, so it is important to apply early. As a study permit holder, it is your responsibility to make progress towards finishing your studies. IRCC allows students to work while studying. However, your first priority should be on studying, attending classes, and doing your best to complete your program successfully. Constantly failing courses, changing programs, or taking breaks can be seen as not actively pursuing your studies. This is a violation of your study permit conditions. Please take a minute to review the conditions on this slide. If you struggle with your classes, it is important to seek help. You can reach out to a student success coach. They can help you navigate the many academic supports available to you at Fleming. Make sure to reach out early. We provide many opportunities for international students to obtain information, not only about immigration-related topics, but also about life in Canada and to be successful as a student. Before your arrival, we offer our Connect and Get Ready sessions, a pre-arrival webinar series to prepare you for life in Canada. We also offer a virtual international orientation tailored to international students and a mandatory program orientation which takes place in person and is delivered by the program coordinator. Please make sure to check out the International Student Services website, It is a great resource for all things international and includes information and video tutorials on study permit extension and applications for PGWP. If you have immigration-related questions, please book an appointment with an international student advisor at the link provided. We also encourage you to read the weekly email updates from International Student Services for important information including immigration news. This is also how we promote our information sessions on permanent residence. In summary, it is important for your immigration journey to avoid situations that can make you ineligible for future immigration opportunities. Reach out to an international student advisor for immigration-related questions or to a student success coach for academic inquiries. It is important to obtain immigration information from an authorized professional such as a regulated international student immigration advisor, RICIA, regulated Canadian immigration consultant, RCIC, or an immigration lawyer. Friends and family may have good intentions, but if they are not trained professionals in Canadian immigration, they may give you advice that can mislead you and jeopardize your immigration journey. Your study should be your main priority. Always do your best to progress in your program. Comply with your study permit conditions at all times. We look forward to assisting you throughout your studies at Fleming College and wish you much success. Please know the International Student Services team is here to help you along the way.